Hey, if anybody joins us here, I just wanted to mention that, well, I guess we got some feedback here because of our two cameras, and I'll be starting shortly. I'm going to do a filter change here. Okay, no more? Oh, no, it's still there. Okay. Okay. Let me. Still echoing? Yeah, still echoing. Still echoing? It's still echoing. Well, hopefully it won't be too confusing. Let me know if it's really unlistenable. Okay, I'm really hoping that I'm the only one who can hear the echo. So, um, I guess let's talk about what happened last night while I have my morning puff here. So last night, my friend Tim WIese from Epoch Glass brought some machines by that he had purchased off the internet recently, and not surprisingly, one of them was broken in shipping. Neither machine had their wheels on them anymore properly, and the machines were rattling around in shipping, and the parts at the bottom of these machines are very heavy, and they're just bolted into plastic in the frame. Uh, Now, with years of operation, all the heat from the machine and so on causes the plastic to be very brittle, and so basically the whole bottom of the machine broke out from under it. But the good news is all the working parts were undamaged, so it actually produces pretty pure oxygen and just the way it's supposed to. We just have to get it set up in a box. Um, and yeah, so it was a good experience. I hadn't had one of these open in a while. They're pretty simple though. I had to completely rebuild one anyways when it showed up, and I have another one to do because the company that made them was sending out ones that were built defectively. Um, so anyways, I decided I should learn lots about these and try and make it so the next time I have a problem, it's taken care of. And then after that, we did purity testing, and so I found my tester itself is calibrated 5% out, so it reads at 100.5% instead of 96.5 or 95.5%. A lot of people swear that these concentrators don't get very good purity. I really have yet to see that from one that's working properly. Um, the sieve that's used is meant to produce a little higher purity. And yes, they're jacked up, these. They're not meant to run at the pressures that they are, but they're doing it good for me, I gotta say. I have had no problems from any machines that were built properly. Um, which is why I'm gonna say don't buy any extreme oxygen concentrators. Um, there are machines by available oxygen that have similar modifications. There are some machines out there um, from unlimited oxygen. All these companies are related by three brothers. And I would say I would have to recommend available oxygen to anybody that's looking for a company to buy from or a company's product to buy. Various people sell it. In Canada, I believe you can get them from Nortel Manufacturing. Um, and that's probably going to be one of the only times I send you to Nortel, from my own personal experiences, although many people really enjoy doing business with them. Um, I um, would say that an American company that sells them for any Americans or any Canadians that are closer to Utah than they are to Toronto would be to order one from Salt City Glass. They seem like a very reputable company and have made oxygen concentrators a real specialty of theirs. Oh, Sunday mornings, eh? Nice slow start. Okay. Well, so far one of the only tools that I've had to buy special for this experience is a nice long-handled or screwdriver. What is this one? Robertson, Phillips. It's the star-headed one. I'm a bit retarded when it comes to remembering names like that. I used to work on a printing press, and I knew it all then, but I guess I don't remember everything that I used to remember. So let's take a couple of screws out here. There's 2 screws in the top handle that need to come out. I'm probably going to leave one of those in until last because it's going to hold everything together while I take the rest apart. Try and stay out of the way. A magnetic screwdriver is very handy for this because a couple of the screws we're going to go into, I'm going to put them there. They're pretty far in. Although, actually, hold on a second, they're not on this one. The EX15 is a little different than the EX20. That's right, I actually only bought this long-handled one when I was trying to work on my EX20. So I didn't leave that in the top handle. I'll leave one of the top corners till last. The boxes on these are put together in a very silly way as far as taking them on and off. The plastic tends to get brittle and weak and warp, but it fits together in a groove that to put the box back on, you've basically got to get this warped, weak plastic to slide all along in this groove until it meets up with the other one. And I don't know if you've ever tried to close a screen door that's a little bit off its track and warped, but that's the kind of setup that it is. But it'll go back on, you just got to fiddle with it for long enough. Now, in the EX20, it has a really long hole you have to stick the screwdriver in and a really short bolt. Keep track of all your screws and try and keep them together where they came from. I'm using the loop of metal in my striker to keep them all together on the bench, but probably a little bin or a baggie or something is in order. You just really don't want to lose anything. A lot of these screws are pretty standard, but doesn't sound like fun going around town looking for them. Okay. I'll leave that one in because it's the last one in the front. And then, that's a bit of a recession in the back. Oh no, there's nothing in there. These are very strange because they're all reconditioned. They're all a little bit different because they're basically taking units that are throwaways from the medical industry, literally throwaways. But then they get parts, replace what's broken, and they run forever. And when that breaks, it'll run forever when you fix it too, if you know how, because they're that simple. As soon as I get this open, I'll explain all the parts inside. keep these together. Okay. That's good. I just got one in the front. I think we're all loose. Okay, we know it's time to change the filter when. It's a nice sunny day, so I'm gonna get this foam filter washing out. Actually, I might just replace this foam filter. I have another one. I'll wash it out after as my spare. So once a month, you should probably take these foam filters off the side and wash them in hot water or warm water really thoroughly until they stop coming out black. A lot of dirt in them. And then make sure they're completely dry before they go back on. It's actually kind of a silly thing for me to have to do because I always need to get back to work. 24/7, this shop's really busy. But the trick's just having an extra clean and new dry one. So as long as you got one extra or so, or an extra one for each one, then you can do all of them and put new ones in each. Rotate them out every once a month, and it's taking really good care of your machine if you do that. Okay, so I got all my screws out. Now, there's stuff that's attached to the front of this one on the inside, and in any unlimited oxygen machine, and I'm not sure about an available oxygen machine because unfortunately this is an extreme oxygen concentrator. They have put these pressure pots in the back that seems like it's aftermarket to me. I'm pretty sure that it doesn't exist in the factory machine, but they put it in, and even though there's a pressure vessel inside the sieve canister that should maintain an even steady flow, this buffers any unsteadiness that there would be, possibly. The only thing, the problem I have with that is that what it's actually doing is hiding the fact that there's a problem with the machine until it gets worse, bad enough for you to notice. So I'm not sure how I feel about the pressure pot. I'm going to talk to David at Available Oxygen more about the ideas behind it and my concerns with it and see what he thinks. I'm probably half out to lunch just because I don't really know every last thing that they're thinking. So I do know that this thing has saved me probably $15,000-$20,000. Well, all my machines in the year and a half that I got them, because I spent so much damn money on oxygen before. I was spending easily $1,000 a month on it. Some of that is getting a more efficient torch, though. Okay. Now, you probably shouldn't be smoking all around this, less because it's a real hazard for fire and more because it's particulate to get into the filter. So I'm not going to be running this machine until I'm finished my morning constitutional here. Oops. Get this back to pop off. The back doesn't have anything attached to it on this brand of machine, but the little pressure vessel would have been anchored right into this upper area of the box. Sort of how I know that it's not a proper part of the machine is because there's not really anywhere that it should be anchored to or anything. It's a special modification that they're doing just to make it work better for them. Because this machine is supposed to run at 7 to 9 psi, but it's running at 15 psi and still putting out very good oxygen purity. Although this one, we did purity testing last night. Every single machine tested out after the miscalibration in the tester to be about 95.5% oxygen. This one tested at 84%. So there's something going on with this one. This is one of my favorite ones too. It's done really good work for me all along. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the filter. And then I'm going to look at, actually I think the first thing I might do is get a rag here and just wipe down the inside, see how much dust I can take out of it. That's more to do with when it gets the new filter in it and to set back up again, just to maybe keep the new filter a little cleaner. It's not as bad as I was expecting, although I'm sure the filter is very clogged, because I'm about several months behind on when I should have been doing this. Okay. This is what we're changing here, basically. There's another filter in the front. I'm going to ask about whether I should be changing that soon too. This is the intake filter, though. It's pretty important. This foam is very dirty. And this filter is very dirty. It's just black. I'm not surprised that this machine is not working perfectly. Let's hope that changing that is all it's going to take. Now this is a filter kit direct from available oxygen. And if anybody's having any trouble getting their hands on these, I think I can probably get a whole bunch of them here and have them available. So this is the difference between them. Oh, it's a slightly different shape. I don't think that's going to matter at all. They're meant for the same machine. So this is white and perfect. This is black and death. And it just pops right on. Fits right in place. And it's as easy as that. So this is the old one. It's black, but I bet you it started off as this color. And when you do your once a month cleaning, there is an opening in the back of the panel, and you can actually reach in and grab this. And if you have an extra one, you could put a clean one on, and you could wash this. That's on there like that. Okay, so we got this guy open, so let's take a look at the different parts and what they do and all that. Okay, hopefully you can see this well. We'll start with when you switch it on. I'm not going to switch it on right now, but so you switch it on, and it activates power to the central processing unit, which kicks on the compressor and the fan, and the four-way switch. And the four-way switch is controlled. The timing of it is controlled in the circuitry on the computer board as well. So basically what happens is the compressor starts to run and pumps compressed air into the sieve bed. The sieve bed has no moving parts inside it. It's air is pumped through it, and there's springs, I believe, in it, but there's nothing like overly mechanical inside it. It's basically chambers filled with filled with sieve material, which would be zeolite, and in this case with a lithium mixed into it. I'm not sure of the proportions or anything, but I think you can get the lithium zeolite blend like available for changing. And I do intend to learn to change these canisters. There's a couple repairs that I would send out right now, and that would be like a compressor rebuild or changing the sieve canister. But pretty much everything else I can do right here. Okay, so the compressor turns on and starts pumping air into the sieve canister, and it pressurizes a pressure chamber. It pressurizes the sieve canister, the area where the sieve material is, up to a certain pressure, which is measured by this yellow hose coming out of it, which will run back to a sensor on the PC board, and it's the low pressure alert, basically. So when the pressure builds up to the right amount, I think it might be done just on a time level. I'm not 100% sure the mechanism for switching. If that's something you need to know, I will find out for you, though. So it switches and pressurizes the next set of sieve canisters. So there's two sets of sieve canisters inside. I believe there's actually 4 canisters total. And it switches from one set to the other. And when it switches to filling one, it pumps out the other. And it pumps out the other into a third chamber that's inside called the pressure chamber. And that's where the pressure builds up to, I want to say 20 psi. I think it might be a little higher than that even. I do know that you can't really run these things past 20 psi, or at least it's not being done right now. 20 psi is about the max that they're running concentrators at, without external machines doing the pressurizing. And then when it's when the one gets up to pressure, it starts filling the pressure chamber, and the other one starts to refill again. So it's a pressure swing absorption. Pressure swing adsorption, it's called. So basically, they're pressurizing the sieve material and to a certain extent, and the nitrogen in the oxygen is being sequestered in the sieve material, which leaves everything that's left, which is mostly oxygen, and then some trace gases of other inert gases and things like that. But you can what's left is about 97% oxygen. Or something along those lines, which is why it's hard to get. Like, it's much more expensive to make really, really high purity oxygen, because it takes more intense machinery than this. Okay, so basically our sieve canisters are swinging back and forth and pressurizing our pressure canister, and then from the pressure canister it's flowing out through the regulator, which is this little plastic thing that comes out of the sieve canister. Before we get too far ahead, let's show you the 4-way switch. It has 2 electrodes coming from the PC boards, and so the PC board is telling it, based on its programming, when to switch from one set to the other. And that's about as complicated as that gets. This is a part that can have some problems, and we'll know about it if that's what the problem is, because your machine won't work if that's not working very well. That has to work. So the air comes out of the regulator. This one is set to 15 psi, and it comes through this hose to the flow meter. The flow meter measures and regulates the flow. it's kind of like a second regulator. This regulator, the adjustment would be measured in psi. This one, the flow meter, the adjustment would be measured in liters per minute flowing. Um, this machine is designed to flow 8 liters per minute. And you could dial it up further than that, but it would really negatively affect the purity. It's not designed to do more. It's probably going to work better if you do a little less. I think probably optimally you want the right size machine for how many liters per minute. If you only want 2 liters per minute to fill your home fill, I think you want a 5 liter a minute machine, not a 20 liter a minute machine. If you have high volume oxygen, though, these things are great because you need lots of liters a minute. So, anyways, from the flow meter, the air comes out of the flow meter telling you how many liters a minute it's flowing, and it goes through a pre-delivery disc filter, and then it goes to the oxygen delivery and into your B-fitting and into your torch. And that's from beginning to end oxygen production in oxygen concentrator. And every oxygen concentrator I've seen the insides of, no matter what brand, works exactly like that. I'm going to take this headset off, and I'm going to get my purity tester out, and I'm going to see how it's working now. That was really good. Last night, this machine measured at 84%, and I changed the filter and turned it on, and it took a very normal amount of time to get up to full purity from being turned on, and it got up to a full 96% pure. So good test, and that concludes the concentrator filter change and recap from last night. And I hope you, if you didn't enjoy it, I hope you at least learned something. And we'll see you in a little bit for some all-day dichro production action. I pulled a whole lot of dichro tubing last night. I'm going to use it for the rest of the day. Okay, well, have a wonderful Sunday, and we'll talk to you soon.